What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Movement Mindset, powered by Station Athletics, episode 10.
10, huh?
Double digits. Actually, that's kind of cool.
I'm tired.
Well, I know, because we've kind of chipped away at this. Today's episode is going to be about client experience, client value, or I should say how we provide value to clients. Now, we've kind of touched on that in almost every podcast in some way, but I thought it would be important to kind of briefly go over it again. But then, you know, we were kind of talking off air. What we do is not like rocket science. I hate to break it. It's not rocket science.
This is the most monotonous, boring, simple program to do, and people just don't do it.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. It's like I started to think when I was outlining this, like, why don't other gyms do it? And so I was like, all right, well, let's go over what we do, a broad concept, and then it's like, okay, why don't other gyms do it? So obviously, 3 components of success: fitness, nutrition, accountability.
Yeah, those are our 3 tiers. We built the entire program of what we do around those 3 things. And there's things that stem out of that, right? But at the end of the day, it's a gym, so we have fitness.
Yep.
Okay. We think it's very valuable that we include nutrition with every single membership, which
Yep.
we do. And then the accountability is the piece of how we get people to stay here for as long as they do.
Yep. So we do that. We have our community events. We have strategic business partnerships. So we work with a supplement company that's a huge supplement company that provides really clean proteins for our members in
Yeah, so
Raw.
that's why we partner with Raw, right? And that's why we with Tier, right? With the clothing and the shoes. How many people wore the shoes in here already?
Yes.
Right? And I know you agree with me on this as well. It's like one of the best products on the marketplace right now.
100%. I mean, there's a reason why they're dominating the CrossFit space, and they're new to the space, right? And so we brought Tier in, and shout out to everyone over there. We're able to get a lot of their product in-house now, so people can try on the shoes, try on the clothes. I almost said not every gym does that. No gym does that.
No, I think none of them.
Maybe your big time Lifetime Fitnesses or Equinox have partnerships like that.
But again, you look at those big brands, and they do have partnerships like that, right? Like
Right.
their own brand, but like Lifetime has their own protein, right?
Sure.
And then they have private label.
Yep.
But it's like it's integrated into their program.
Yep.
So it's a one-stop shop. That's what we're trying to design.
Exactly.
We're trying to design. You do not need to leave here for anything that's in this realm.
Yep. And so, being able to have that on site is huge. We've also got, people within the community that will support each other. So like, great example, we had that huge rowathon for the Brady's when they were going through it. And so like all of those things provides the client value. We're able to provide open gym hours. We're able to give our members, like you said, access to nutrition, guidance, regardless of what their membership is. So we provide all these different things to help people get to the goals that they have. And I literally sat back and was like, why don't other people do it? So I called it, other programs don't deliver the value like this. And I call it the 5 L's. I mean, you had a different name for it. I think it was, Joe said it was the 5 ways to be a loser. 5 L's towards losing or something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, all it comes down to is when you break this down, right? The 5 L's is the 5 ways to lose.
Yeah, 5 ways to lose.
The 5 ways to lose.
Yeah, so the first one is, in my opinion, a lack of confidence. And so if you have someone who comes in, it's the age-old story. I mean, you did it in the very beginning because you were new. Someone comes into the gym, they're like, hey, I want to get started. And they start throwing deals at you right away, or they have trouble explaining what their program is. To me, it speaks to a lack of confidence in the program. And to me, that's a huge red
Or you
flag.
don't know what the program is.
Right.
We've run into that with salespeople, right? We've talked about it in the past.
Well, yeah.
We've had some hires to where, or if you don't truly believe in the program, and Shannon said this a few episodes ago.
She did.
That she is not a salesperson, but she's so confident in what we do that she's okay with being a salesperson.
Right. I can literally, actually, if I think about our GMs, Shannon had no sales experience before she came to us. Haley, no sales experience before she came to us. Courtney, no sales experience before she came to us. The vast majority of people who run our gyms had no,
I think just Kevin.
Kevin was the only one.
Kevin, Franco didn't.
Right. No formal, Franco was in the plumbers union.
Yeah.
And then opened a gym.
Yep.
So it was like, none of these people had previous sales experience. And they crush it because they believe so strongly in what we do. I mean, Franco was telling me the other day, they just hired 1 or 2 new coaches. And the new person was like, she's like, okay, so what do you got going on? So Franco explains the program to her. And she's like, whoa, nobody else does this. And he literally was like, I know.
Shout out,
Franco, CrossFit team.
Huge. He's flourishing in the office now, getting new people to sign up because he explains the program so well.
Yeah.
because he's done it for so many people.
Yeah.
So how do you not trust the process of the program if like you're hands-on in the weeds, I'm doing the measurements, I'm doing
Yes.
the classes, right? I'm seeing the results of all these things. I understand nutrition. Like it's so easy to explain that. And then when you offer this to people, you know, it's not like just walking into a gym. So like just to kind of talk about this a little bit more is like the lack of confidence or the fear is the gym owners
Yeah.
or the staff, one, don't understand the program.
Yeah.
Don't trust the program.
Yep.
Right. They're nervous about like, I guess like speaking out about the
Yeah.
program to people and
Yeah.
saying like, hey, you do X, Y, and Z. These are results you have because maybe they're not educated enough.
So that's the first L. The second L, I hate to say it, is laziness.
Oh God, it's rampant. Especially in the micro gym business. People go into the micro gym business or the CrossFit space or the functional fitness space.
Yeah.
Because they want to work out in the middle of the
100%.
day. I can't like, I mean, that's a true statement.
Yeah.
Most of them just think that people are going to show up. And maybe in 2011, 12, 13, even 14, that was still the case to where like people would just show up to these gyms because they were still like a growing feature.
Yeah.
But like they're not business oriented people. They don't
Right.
know how to keep people here. They think that people are going to come and just like walk in and be like, all right, great. I can't wait to learn how to do a snatch or muscle
Right.
up, right? That's not how it works.
Well, even to the effect of like, I've talked to people, and I'm sure you have too, where it's like, they'll ask like, oh, what do you guys do? And you start to outline it. And one of the first things they'll say is like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. And it's like, yeah, this is your job. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's work.
This isn't, if you want to coach class, it's probably the most simple piece of,
Sure.
and there's still a lot of intricate things to that,
Sure.
but like this isn't like, hey, I'm going to show up 5 minutes before or on time to when the class starts, go through a warm up and be like, okay, great. See you later. Like, all right, great. Well, like, how did that person's experience, like, what did they get out of that? You know, what did the staff provide? Right. And that goes on every aspect. The
Right.
job's a lot. How many people have we hired where we say, hey, this is everything we do? Or how many people have you interviewed and they're like, wow, like what you said, that's a lot. You guys do a lot of things. It's a fully functional business.
Right. So that's the second one. The third one, honestly, is let's just talk frank. It's lack of support, right? Now, to your credit, right? You said you answered a couple episodes ago. It's like, I just answered the phone. But it's hard to be the only person doing everything when you open the gym.
It's all about time value.
There's
right? How many
elements.
times we talk about time
Yeah,
value?
yeah, yeah.
So like, let's just call it as is. When I first started, you're coaching every single class because one, you can't afford to pay someone $20, $25 an hour to coach a class for you because that's where your value was at that moment. Eventually it gets to a point to where the time value needs to change. So people don't understand why the support is so important, because if I remove myself on an entire day of not coaching and it costs me, say, $200.
Yes, for that day.
For that day, okay, what can I do to replace that $200 or make $500? And in our business, what it turns into is like, okay, you're going to run the administrative piece.
Sure.
So in the gym business, it's coaching class, doing everything.
Yep.
Right. And then it's manage the office, answering the phone, scheduling appointments, managing the inbound leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doing sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns into, okay, I'm best suited in the sales department. So you shuffle yourself, but it's all about time value of, okay, my time is no longer worth $20 an hour. My time is no longer worth $50 an hour. My time is no longer worth $100, $200, $300 an hour. And you continue to grow. It's
Yeah.
the same thing when I first hired you, same concept. One of the first things I went over with you was you're better suited here than here because the outcome is greater financially. The support piece allows you to develop a better program. So why I'm talking about this and like why like I talked to Zach, I told him this exact thing this morning.
Yeah.
And he's in the barber business. So it's a totally different industry. Setup is exactly the same.
Sure.
Right? If you don't cut for one day, what can you produce?
Yes.
Right? If you think $600 is, okay, if I do something else, can I produce $2,000? Right? So same concept. So when you talk about lack of support, the lack of support doesn't allow you to create a well-rounded program.
Yep.
Because you can only do so many things in a day. Even if you're working 12 hours, which we've done 14 hours,
Yeah.
you can only accomplish so many things. So why you slingshot that into the next thing is you can't design a well-rounded functional program without bodies and good people.
Sure. And then what happens is the lack of support, right? Because in the beginning you have no choice.
Yeah.
But then when you work like you did and kind of grind and build it, that then lack of support kind of shifts to, I don't want to say a lack of trust, but it is kind of that to a certain degree. You have then the people,
Oh, dude,
but you don't delegate.
No, it's a total trust thing.
Yeah.
You're delegating, but you don't trust that person yet or at all
Right.
to do what you need them to do. And that's why supervision is really important.
Yeah. And then that's hard because if you're now hiring these people, like you said, all right, time value, this is going to cost me X. So I need to spend the time doing this to replace that. Okay, cool. I'm doing that. But you're still doing these tasks because you haven't trusted that person to truly delegate it, now you're in an even worse
Oh, dude,
position.
I was the worst of that.
I mean,
I was the worst of that.
yeah.
Send me an email for every single thing that you're doing every single day. It was the worst. I was awful at it. John will.
I mean, John has
John will rip me
stories,
apart about
right,
that,
right.
about how bad I was with that. I've gotten significantly better at that.
Yeah.
I'm still psychopath. But that's the biggest challenge, and this is why programs. I'm going to say it as it is. This is why programs fucking suck, because you have one person that outweighs $25 into enhancing the program or the gym or the equipment, the layout, the visual, the community side. It outweighs them saving $25.
Well, not only that, but it could also be an ego thing, because a lot of people who open the gym, they're super passionate, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens is, I guarantee you experience this, is when you start to pull yourself out of class, people are like, no, I want your
I know,
class.
you
You're the
lose.
best coach.
I
Like,
lost members.
Yes.
When we opened Sparta to Roseland,
yeah,
and I stopped coaching here as much. I told you this. We had like a 20% drop
right,
in members because I didn't replace myself with the right person.
right. And then people end up getting sucked back in because they like having people tell them, no, you're the best. I want your class. So then they send the thing, well, I'm the best. I can't teach something.
Dude,
But
it's
it's
like
like-
how many times fucking Angela Buds, I know you're gonna listen. You're an a-hole, and all she ever does is tell me, Joe, write a program. I
yeah,
have time to write a program for 10 hours.
Right.
Don't. I would love to, but I
Right.
can't.
But and it's one of those things where it's like someone else can coach a class as good as me,
Yeah.
right? It is what it is. The members just are not used to seeing that face yet, right? And so then what you have is like you finally, you haven't been coaching class here in a long time. Now you have people who are like, oh, I want Courtney's class, and then it's like she starts to pull out of class, and they're like, no,
No, it's
I
a vicious
can't.
cycle.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle, and but again, that's all it comes down to is the lack of support and understanding how the support benefits your program.
Right.
Right. And we have a lot of support here
Yeah.
from a lot of angles.
We
of
have
this-
really good people who work for us.
So-
So the next one, it would be a lack of knowledge. And you have people all the time who it's like, they think they know everything. I've been in fitness a long time. I love this. I'm going to open a gym.
Mhm.
And then you get people who come to you and are like, hey, I need to lose weight. I have Hashimoto's and this, that, and the other thing. I can't eat this, that. What do I do? And you're like,
My thyroid, so that they don't educate themselves on the situation when all you got to do is just educate yourself. If you don't know about something, it's pretty easy these days to
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk says it. You can teach literally yourself fucking anything
Yep.
on YouTube.
Yep.
Like rocket science.
Yep.
You can teach yourself right on YouTube. So the lack of knowledge in this space is pretty bad.
oh,
Where-
yeah.
And then someone will outweigh like, oh, I know more than you because I have a certification in kettlebells, or like I got certified in this nutrition plan. Okay, great. Have you ever implemented it before? Right? Like that's a big issue in this space is people thinking they know, but they know nothing.
Right. And so like for me, I've been coaching clients from a remote setting since I think 2015, 2016. So 8 years plus. And it's like the way I write programs now is immensely different than when I wrote it then,
Yeah,
because I know
because-
way more. I gained a lot of experience. And so it's like, and
And
when you,
stuff is hands-on too. It's like
yeah,
a lot of the dieting, like all the meal plans were stuff that like I literally did myself.
yes.
You see trial and errors on those things.
Well, you even said when you opened the gym, you had never run a class before. And so it was like, I'm going to just consume as much information as possible
Yeah.
so I can learn how to do this now.
Even as something as dumb as gym organization. Dude, we just redid this place,
I know.
right? We just shuffled stuff around again for
Yeah.
like the 12th time. And I feel like we have a really good flow now, right? But like those are the things like you can never stop educating yourself. And when I was in the pharmaceutical space, something used to make me really mad. I know this is kind of off subject
Sure.
to this, but it's relative to the lack of knowledge, is nothing aggravated me more when a doctor that was 70 years old wrote the same fucking script
Yeah.
30 years ago
Right.
when there's better products.
Yeah.
Because he just didn't educate himself or she didn't educate himself. It's just ridiculous. And it's no different to this, right? Just because you're labeled as the professional doesn't mean that you know everything.
Right. And things, especially in the fitness space, are changing so often. There's always new things coming out, new protocols, whatever. And so it's like, if you're not taking the time to continuously learn, everything's going to pass you by. And then you're doing a disservice to your members.
No, and if you flip to like our marketing side, right? What happened when people were like, Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising is stupid?
Yeah.
And we flourished because of it, because we just learned a skill that no one knew.
Right.
Right. And then we learned another skill that no one does. And when you just keep doing it, enhancing and enhancing and enhancing.
Sure.
All right. So the last thing here is this is probably the biggest one,
I agree.
right? Is the lack of systems. So a lot of gym owners that I know have zero system. They don't have text message automation, or if they do, it's crap.
Yep.
Right? They don't have a systematic approach of when someone walks through the door, what happens.
Yep.
Right? And these things all matter from a client experience perspective.
Yep.
Is if someone walks through the door and they don't have like a good feel, like what you said, like in the first 2 minutes, you just talked about that guy,
Yeah.
right? That you like, the guy was like sold.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a systematic approach of when someone, not even like, we're not even talking about how we get them here.
Sure.
We don't need to talk about that.
Sure.
It's a total system by itself. To get someone through the door is like, you want the experience to start the second they walk through the door.
Moment they walk in. Yeah. So like for us, and I'm sure all the GMs know I'm like a stickler when it comes to our systems and processes. So it's like when someone walks into our door and behind the curtain, right? When you walk into the door for a consultation, you immediately get handed an intake form. Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks. You're here to see Courtney? Awesome. Why don't you fill this out? And the reason why we do that is because we need to get some basic information on why you're there. How often do you eat out? Do you smoke? Do you drink alcohol? So then when I have someone who says
something about the people,
because when I then get someone who says, I can't afford to invest in my health and fitness. I can't do this. But then I see you're spending $200 a week eating out.
Yeah.
It's like, no. You can. Your priorities are just in the wrong spot.
Smoking a pack of cigarettes every day.
Exactly.
Right? Like there's all these value points, and it's like we call them in sales pain points.
Yes.
Right? To be able to do that. But the point of that is to learn something about the individual.
Yes.
So you can help guide them through the best path. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you're giving them your best foot forward on like, hey, we can help you do all of these things based on what you told me.
Yeah. So they get an intake form. Then we give them free water. Here's a water.
Something
right?
so dumb.
So dumb, but no, most people don't do it. Then they come in, we have a systematic way we explain our program. And really systems and processes are important for, in my opinion, two main reasons. One is it keeps you on track so that you're not willy-nilly and disorganized. It's like when this happens, we do this. And it allows for the business owner or the person running the gym to not get caught in the weeds and get all helter-skelter, because then what happens is members fall through the cracks. Yeah. And so it prevents that from happening. So that's one. The second reason why it's important is because it takes it out of the hands of the individual. So what I mean by that is, a quick story. I was one time consulting for someone and I was looking at their sales process and I was like, hey, you don't have a sales process. Yeah. And the guy goes, I know, that's why we need you. And I was talking to him and they had a huge setback when it came to sales because they had someone they hired who knew the process. Really, they had developed it in their head. And then when that person left, they hired the new person to come in and had no way to actually train the person on what the
because there was never set in stone.
Exactly.
You do X, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this. It wasn't set up.
Right. And so like a lot of business owners, and you went through this, right? It's like, you know the process. And then you're like, okay, cool. I can't do this anymore. You do this. And then you leave, but that person's like, how do I do this? Yeah. And then you're like,
all it does is affect the way the client outcome is.
Right. Because now you have a situation where the outcome or what that process is tied to the person. So if that person leaves, now the gym is screwed.
Yeah. Point of the systematic approach is you have an answer for everything before the question is even asked.
Yeah.
Right. You have an outcome. You know what the outcome is going to be based on how it progresses through that automation piece.
Yeah. And it allows you to take the client, no matter what their goal is, start them, lead them toward their goal, no matter what it is.
I was saying, it's like, let's kind of end on this with the lack of systems, right?
Yeah.
The number one thing that I see, and even the local advertising that you see, right? Mm-hmm. People post a video of X. We actually just started about this. We enhanced our media. We have our media guys that really have pumped up what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And let's say it as it is, right? We start to see everybody copy what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine.
Sure.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's totally cool. But the conceptual piece is you could run really good advertising or really good promos or really good gym content, but what does it lead to?
Right.
I know that if someone goes and walks in a gym locally because they saw like a cool, or like, someone lifting or like something that they want to do. Okay. So now what do they get when they show up?
Yep.
They don't have this. I know this for a fact, right?
Yep.
99% of the gyms don't have this.
Yep.
Is when they walk through, there's nothing beyond that.
Mm-hmm. So, if you're a gym owner and you're like, how do I get started with this real quick? And then we'll end on it is start in class, develop a system on how you're supposed to run an effective class. This is what Joe did. Start to develop simple nutrition guidelines, pamphlets, and meal plans to give people so you can address their nutrition. Develop simple and easy systems to execute on to hold people accountable, and then just build from there.
Yeah. At the end of the day, all it comes down to is if I were to remove myself from an intricate part of the business, How is it replaced and how does it operate exactly the same?
Exactly.
And then when I remove myself from something else, duplicate it over
and
over
like
over.
you said, the reason why that's so important is because you can't have a situation where you remove yourself and now the client suffers.
The reason why gyms don't do this, it's only one reason, right? It's because it's so fucking boring. All
Yeah.
these things are boring.
Yeah.
This is the boring part of the business.
Right.
The results are the exciting part.
Sure.
But getting someone through the system of the phases is so monotonous and boring. And this is why they don't do it, because there's nothing flashy about it.
Yeah.
Right. But this is the stuff that keeps people at your gyms.
For sure. So guys, thanks for sticking around with us through 10 episodes. Stay with us. We're going to go over a lot more information. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.